Hello guys, and this is the second video of my Specialist 3D project, and today I'm going to be doing this slightly different. I'm going to be basically in real time raw footage of the experiment, and I'll be just commenting as I go. To begin with, I just wanted to show my document that I'm working on at the moment, and sort of the paper and how it's um, going about. So I'm not going to go over the introduction and everything, but I just wanted to quickly rephrase sort of the purpose and the ideas behind this research. Close the window. So basically, I mentioned the other day that 3D scanning's becoming more predominant in the industry, and I think that's true. And there's with games becoming bigger and more, graphically intense, it takes a lot more time, and that's why I think 3D scanning is going to become something that's a necessity. Just because if industry individuals are going to get, within the time frame that they have to create all the assets of the game, I think they're going to have to use 3D scanning. Now, as I mentioned, for those who read, the cost of these solutions, especially in industry, are very expensive. So if we consider Infinite Reality's 3D scanner, where they have the DSLR setup, is a great setup, but again, you need a lot of money if you want to do something like that. Now, you can apply the same technology that they use, which is photogrammetry, with one camera, and that's works perfectly fine, and that has been done. But instead of taking that further, I thought, well, the Kinect has this capability of scanning. Let's see what we can do with it alone. So for experiment 2, if you saw experiment 1, we looked at a hard surface, just a planar scan, and that worked. So while it wasn't great quality, we can apply essentially the ideas behind this first experiment and say, well, it worked, what other potential areas can we look at? So for this second test, I'm going to be scanning cloth, like the cloth and fabric, and I'll show you in a minute my setup when I've got the Kinect to scan it. And the idea behind this came from some early tests where I was just messing about with the Kinect, seeing what it could do. And it can do fabric and organic surfaces really well. And so for this test, I've got a vague idea where I'm going to scan some cloth and essentially bring it to a real-time ready asset in this real-time demo. I've got a vague idea of what I want to make, but we'll see how it goes and go from there. So let's begin. Let's bring up the SDK and let's start scanning. So as I mentioned before, I'm using the Kinect Fusion software. It's free with the SDK. It works really well. I'm more than happy with the results it produces, and you'll see once I begin scanning sort of the fidelity that we can get of the cloth. So let's begin the 3D scan. Let's come around here. We can see the cloth has got a lot, even though we're not getting the fine little wrinkles, for a base mesh, or potentially something that's maybe like an asset, fairly trivial, we can get some fairly good results. So one thing we've got to make sure is we get all the little crevices. It's the only problem, you don't want... oh dear, oh god, our whole scan's gone wrong. Let's restart. Let's reset the virtual camera. Start again. Now the nice thing about the Kinect is it's incredibly quick to scan, so we're not spending too much time worrying about this is one of the things. It's the distance between the mesh and the Kinect is very limited. We can still get some nice results. So I was saying about the overhangs. You don't want too many overhangs because you're going to have to come around your object and try and fill in these holes. Right, it's just not cooperating today. Now, if you can see this box or suitcase I've got here, that's just the proxy that I'm using to drape the cloth. Now we're going to have to reset the construction. We've lost all the information that I want. Right, reset. There we go. Let's get all those nice little details up there. Now we're going to come up the cloth. Are you going to track? Connect. Hello. Okay. So like I said, this is going to be very raw and we are going to run into problems. And this is part of the experimenting process. So from early observations, I can already see some flaws. Let's see, depth threshold. Well, I don't want the information, we don't want the radiator again. So let's think, the maximum is about 3 meters, I would say. No, even less than that. Is that going to fix it? I'm going to have to get close. No, let's bring that up to about 1 meter. We can't do 1 meter. Great. That's pretty pointless. Minimum 35 millimeters. Okay, we might have to try a variety of things here. Still got the things down there? Yeah. We're going to have some holes in the back here, but that's okay. Since ideally our low poly's going to be just the front of the mesh. And we've got a hole down there. Oh dear. Have we lost track? Oh, for God's sake. Come around here. Just make sure there's no holes down there, that's good. This is looking like a good mesh, even though we're missing that top half there. I think I'm going to work with this because I'm liking all the creases down here, and basically what we'll do is we'll cut it somewhere there, and actually I've got an idea. I'm going to reset the scan, but I'm going to bring down the proxy a bit so it's not as tall. Let's just get the Kinect ready. Just the way it folds. There we go. Okay, we've lost a bit of information there. Got all the creases on there. The nice thing is it's quick to iterate between each scan. So if something doesn't work, you can quickly just say, oh well, reconstruct that. I'm not happy with that. Whereas with photogrammetry, you would have to take the pictures, and potentially your pictures don't work, and then you'd have to go back in and keep trying different things. There we go, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. So carefully export. Don't reset, don't reset. Create mesh. Let's put this in number 2. Call it cloth raw scan. And is that saved out? There we go, that's saved out. So we will close, we won't close that just yet. We'll open up Mesh Lab. Check that our exported mesh is correct. Oh dear. That's trippy. Actually, we'll close that before it implodes on itself. Right. So hopefully all going to plan. Part of the method was that now we've got the mesh, we can begin cleaning this up, and this is going to take a bit more. Oh dear, look at that. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 million vertices of data we got. There we go. And yeah, that's chugging. I can even see that chugging. Okay. But look at that. That's, I mean, for a raw scan, that is not bad. And I have a feeling for something very trivial that has a cloth draped over the top, that's going to actually work quite well. So let's start isolating. So in Mesh Lab, it's merely just choosing select vertices, and you're going to have to be patient. Oh dear, I've selected too much. If I change the rendering mode, do we deselect? That's a good question. There we go. Okay, let's just come down to here. And we've just chopped a bit off. Okay, we need to start deleting. We'll just have to go bit by bit carefully. Let's delete. 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 And we've taken out 1 million polygons, vertices already. And the raw data of the scan was at 400 megabytes for those of you interested. Yeah, we've still got a bit of isolation to do. So for there, I just started with the front view, so I could get a good idea of the area around the cloth. There we go, we're almost there. So let's view from the top. Carefully now remove everything around it. So ideally, one thing I can already tell is that if you had a bigger area to work in, the Kinect wouldn't capture all the stuff back here, because I've got a fairly small room. I haven't got that up opportunity to do that. So I've just got to kind of work with what I've got. So that I've got it in point mode, so you can see all the individual points it's captured. I don't know what that P means. That's new. Let's keep taking these verts out. And I'm thinking maybe leave a bit of a buffer there. So when we bake the normals, that might be quite good. We'll see. I might just leave a little bit of a space around it. I will fill in the holes down here in a minute once we start the cleanup. As you can see, there's where the overhangs are in the cloth. It's missed some of the data, and that's to be expected. Excuse me a sec. Again, I think the best thing to do would be to make sure there aren't as many overhangs when you're attempting to scan something like this. But either way, it's very... I found, personally, I can't sculpt cloth at all, so for me this is ideal. Very minimal effort to get some greater results. Alright, this is going to be fun trying to clean up all this stuff going on here. To be careful. Might be easier, since we've removed a lot of the topology, it may be possible just to do this in Maya. Oops. Great. Oh dear. Did we lose much? That's my mistake. That's the only problem with MeshLab, there's no undo. Well, I don't think there's an undo. If there is, then I can't find it. Wrong button. There's not much to talk about in this stage, so I'm sorry. This bit's a bit boring. It's just isolating the scan mesh as best as possible. Okay, so let's start some cleanup. So I'm going to first export this. Yeah, okay. And that's basically, so now we've brought it down to 68 megabytes, which is good. So the first step is to bring up the layers window, and that will just let us see all the events that happen in this cleanup. So let's see, let's remove duplicated vertices, and that's taken out another 50,000. Let's then clean up, remove non-manifold edges, There was none there. Remove isolated folded face. And that crashed it. Good thing we exported it, so we're going to have to do that cleanup again. And that's to be expected. Not to worry. Okay, cleaning, remove duplicated vertices. Cleaning, remove duplicated faces, and there weren't any. Let's see, remove 0 face areas, there weren't any. Let's see, remove, delete all the vertices with the quality smaller. Remove isolated, that crashed it, so we won't do that one again. Okay. Okay, we still got all these little bits back there. Honestly, I'm not sure what. Just export. Now we're down to 19 megabytes, which is great. That didn't do anything. Oh well, that'll have to do. So now we want to close the holes. Let's see what this does. Okay, that didn't quite do what I wanted to do. So say we can close with the select faces. So if we select this area, or not. Right. There is so many options in here. It's just a bit. What's this called? Smoothing. Back faces. What we can do is rebuild this entire mesh, and that should fill in the holes. And that's this one. We'll pull this up to about these values. And now we wait and let it do its thing. Let's see, there we go. And now that's actually filled in all the gaps behind it as well. That's probably the best way to do it. Plus the topology is a bit better, except now we've got strange holes like that, which I guess that's to be expected. We can probably mask those out in Maya with little planes with some blockers. Let's just have a quick look at the topology. It's very messy. The next thing that I want to do is probably clean this one up a bit. So let's go into cleaning and repairing, and let's merge some of these vertices together. So what I'd like to do, I found that works quite well. If you start on the lowest value and then hit apply, and then you go up the next level. So bit by bit we can maybe go up another level and start to remove some more vertices that aren't quite necessary for our geometry. And that's looking a lot better. Not bad at all, actually. Now, since the topology is pretty poor, it can be safe to say that you could possibly sculpt. I'm thinking ZBrush might accept this. I don't know. It's triangulated, so it might work. That's my hypothesis with that. Again, that's something else that needs to be tested. But for now, all we're going to do is say this is our high poly. I'm happy to safe to say that this is going to be the high poly. We'll probably apply some basic smoothing in Maya, and then we will start to retopologize a low poly, and we're going to have to build some sort of proxy that it's leaning on. That'll probably be a cube or something. Something like that. Okay, so let's export this out as a OBJ, and we'll replace our raw data, and we're now, if I just bring this window open, gone all the way from 400 just to just under 6 megabytes. So with that all nice said and done, I'm fairly confident this is most likely going to work. I can't see any pitfalls. The only things I was worried about, the flaws I was worried about with this experiment were that the Kinect would have trouble with the holes, and the raw data would be pretty much unusable. The Mesh Lab has proven to be worthy of itself, and made a fairly good high poly. And I've gone to the wrong option. And where are you? There you are. And its orientation is a bit wrong, so we're going to have to fix that. This is going to be interesting. So let's think. Let's move the pivot. So that's one problem I didn't think about, was the orientation. And I think that comes down to when we were scanning, I should have made sure the axis of the Kinect was the right way. Even though it can track, I should have orientated that correctly. Let's try and get this fairly to an alignment that I can work with. Let's freeze the transformations on that. Let's try and get this aligned to the world. I think that will do. I'm fairly happy with that. So our low poly, I'm thinking, is just going to be something that trims, no, it's not, sorry, skims the edges of this high poly, and our proxy is just going to be a box or a cube that will sit here somewhere. So I'm going to add that proxy in so I get an idea of where that's going to go. So it's going to rest roughly where it's draping there, where I had the handle of the my suitcase. Just put that in there. That's about, that'll do. Okay, let's save the scene. Save the file out. Experiment 2. Okay, let's begin retopology. So, excuse me. Actually, before we retopologize, let's see what happens when we smooth this. So what are we at? So currently we're at 80,000. Is it worth? Let's see what the smooth preview looks like. Okay, so that doesn't look too bad. We actually get a nice looking, interesting texture when we put the smooth preview on. Let's see what happens when we smooth it. Should be the same effect. Yeah, it's the same thing. I don't know, I might leave it. Again, it's again quality wise, I'm fairly happy with the raw, well, not the, this isn't the raw data, but the mesh we generated from Mesh Lab. There's slight problems there. I should probably go around and check for any inconsistencies like that. Now I can't see it. Oh, there it is. I see, that's the interior face. Get rid of that. Probably make sure those edges are merged together. Okay, they are. Don't have to worry about that since our low poly's going to have missed that. Oh dear, what we got here? That's interesting. Just get rid of those strange faces. And we've got some sort of shading error here. Let's see what's going on here. It's probably, I'm assuming, the face direction. It might be the shading. Let's put that. Okay, that might be a flipped normal. I'm not sure. I cannot tell. Let's delete these faces. Okay. No, it's. Not sure what it is actually. Just an anomaly. I'll just do a very messy fix on this. There we go. Smooth it. Cool. And I'm safe to say I'm happy with that. Save this again. And now let's start some retopology. So here I just would like to say I'm not a professional, I'm not amazing at what I do. This is just some theoretical tests I'm doing, so if my technique is wrong or you know it's not the best, I apologise now, and you can tell me what I'm doing wrong and suggest a better way. But from what I've learnt is retopology, just go around the original mesh and essentially create a low poly what am I on about? A low poly, yeah, create a low poly. Let's just put the high poly on a layer. Keep selecting it It's annoying. And I might pause the video because this would be boring to watch for about a good hour. But I'll leave it for a bit. There's probably other ways we could get around retopologizing this, where we create. I did see one way where you can decimate the mesh in MeshLab, and from there you could essentially just have a low poly off the bat, which may be something worthwhile trying. Oh, what am I doing? Bloody soft select. Urgh. So what I'm going to probably do here is just do a quick test of this corner, and then I'm going to actually try. I've just had a thought I'm going to include in the experiment is decimating the. I export this one out, this mesh we've done here, and there's an option in MeshLab where you can simplify the mesh, and I'm going to have to quickly look that up because I briefly had a look at it, and I didn't think about it at the time, but you could just, I think there might be a way to just generate the low poly. It wouldn't be clean. That's the point. It wouldn't be clean. So maybe no. I might have to do it this way in the end. But considering that retopology is an essential part of even if you sculpted this, I guess time-wise, it wouldn't make much of a difference if you just generated the low poly. That could be up for debate. Gosh, where are we going? So I'll just try and get the basis done of this, and then I will stop the recording and come back in a bit. And we'll see how this bakes out. Thing is, I've just had another thought, is that unwrapping this isn't going to be easy in Maya. So actually I may just pause the video for now. But my initial thoughts is that so far I think we've got a nice high poly. Especially for me, if I probably wouldn't have been able to sculpt this at all. So this could be a potential solution again for beginner artists who are learning about proportion and learning how cloth folds and creases. If the quality is not bad, but it could be better. So again, this could be used as a base mesh, and you could use it as reference and sculpt around it. Another way you could apply this, I was thinking, is you could drape clothing, or say have a character proxy, a person proxy, and scan the clothing on the person, which is probably being done right now. Um, but that could also be helpful to artists. So I'm going to pause the video here. I'll come back once I've done a bit more retopology, and we'll see how that looks a bit.